Hi, friends. Welcome to the Mastermind Moments podcast.
Hosted by your pals, Josh and Sasha.
Join us during our weekly mastermind as we collaborate on how to make the most out of our lives.
Not only are we going to mastermind our careers, we're going to work on all areas of life together.
Let's do it. Listen in as we make the most of our mastermind moments.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Oh my God. It's so good to see you. I'm like all over the place, but I'm great and also like all over the place, but your hair looks so good.
Does it?
You got a cut.
I got it cut a couple of weeks ago since we last spoke, yeah.
Yeah, things have been crazy. We haven't spoken in 2-3 weeks.
2-3 weeks, yeah. It's funny because we went through a phase where obviously we weren't recording as much, and then suddenly we recorded a bunch in the space of a week or two. And then we fell off again because we were both away. You were away doing your thing. I was away doing my thing, which you didn't even know about. So
We
yeah,
have so much to talk about.
I know so much. We've been busy people.
Yeah. Oh my God, crazy. Okay, before we this is absolutely insane the amount that we have to catch up on, and hopefully we can get it all done. Maybe we'll need a part 2 and we'll see because there's just so much to catch up on.
There is.
Literally part 2 would just be like the next episode, but whatever.
Yeah.
So before we just get into all of it, let's spin a wheel. What support systems do you rely on for your mental well-being? What do you think?
Support systems for my mental well-being. Friends and family, more than anything. I think that's been my theme over the last couple of years, is really leaning on, especially my family, actually. I think something I was talking about with some friends recently is how I've never really given enough credit to my family for how much they've supported me. I love talking about what a troubled kid I was and how much shit that I put my family through, mostly because it makes just a reminder of how far I've come. But if I really think about it and delve deep into it, I'm like, holy shit, I really put them through so much and they supported me. They bailed me out many times, especially my mum, who I always had a little bit of a tense relationship with. It was a tough relationship. And so I never really looked at it from her perspective. I never looked at it from a, wow, she's done so much for me. She's really saved me so many times and developed me as a result, or helped me grow as a result. So I think friends and family are the two biggest things for me. And another thing, which I'll get into in a bit, because it's a new thing that I'm leaning on. I won't get into it now because it's my story of the last couple of weeks. So we can get into that a bit later on.
Okay, yeah, I'd say the exact same thing. I'd say like friends, family have been my consistent like support for my mental well-being for sure. I think before, when I like had a more like structured life and routine, I'd say like definitely like working out, movement has always been like a very important part of supporting my mental well-being, but it hasn't taken a forefront since traveling, but it's definitely been friends and family since. Oh my God.
I think I know where you are.
You think you know where
I think I
am?
figured out who the special guest is.
I'm sure you have.
Oh,
It's not Ruger, but you
no,
know.
okay.
I love that you can also see the little portrait here. But yeah, I'd say friends and family definitely have been like rocks, especially during this time this year. Like I haven't ever felt so connected to my loved ones, which is funny because I let go of such a big, like letting go of my relationship is like letting go of is like a loved, like your number one loved one, your number one person. And letting go of that, I feel like the rest of like my friends' family just took over that space and like really filled in that gap almost in a lot of ways. And so did travel. I feel like that kind of filled in that gap. But yeah, I'd say friends and family for sure.
I think most people would probably say the same thing, wouldn't they? I think friends and family, especially family, is such a huge support mechanism. They're the only people that are always going to be there, right? So
Yeah.
I think most people would probably agree with that. But I am desperate to delve into the meat of this episode.
Me too. Me too.
It's usually you that segues into it, but I'm just so excited to hear about what you've been up to, and primarily fucking Burning Man. I was so worried about you because I didn't know about this. Savita came up to me with some videos. She was like, "Oh my God, is Sasha okay? Have you heard from her?" Because she was showing me these crazy videos of these like dust storms. And I
Yeah.
was like, holy fuck, that's insane. And then I messaged you and it wasn't delivering, obviously. And yeah, so tell me about it.
Oh my God. It's so crazy. I'm glad we had a question that was so short so we can actually get into the meat of this because there's so much to go over on my side and on your side. So Burning Man, let's fucking talk about it. So we haven't talked since I was at home and like that super stressful week prepping for Burning Man, all of that. So when I went to Burning Man, I stayed in a hotel by myself for 2 days beforehand, which I could have gone in early to the playa and helped with the build, but I'm really glad I had those 2 days to myself to like work through my to-do list, work through all my admin, like sleep, repack my bag, just get my shit together and be with myself before going in. And thankfully, because I was in a hotel, I missed the dust storm. So I was in a hotel during the dust storm. So I missed that, which was great. And then the next day I went in and took the burner bus, which is great. You like skip basically 8 hours of traffic because the burner bus has its own lane. So
Nice.
skip the traffic, go in. And literally I set my tent up. As soon as my tent is set up, like it starts raining.
In the middle of
And
the
there was
desert?
like,
Oh,
yeah, it
wow.
was
Okay.
crazy. It rained for like the first 3 days. It was crazy. Or like on and off for the first 3 days. And it was a blessing because like my tent, had this weird intuition feeling on the bus. I was like, something's wrong with my tent. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I know something's wrong. And I was thinking like maybe I forgot the stakes or something or whatever, but it turns out it was like that like over covering piece. And it started raining and I like used a piece from my camp had like an extra tent. So I used a piece from a different tent and I got a leak in my tent, but it was honestly such a blessing because there was so much dust in my fucking tent that it helps sop up all the dust. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it was a blessing. And then basically like the way I structured my burn was I had all my shifts to help with the camp, like the first half of the week and the second half of the week I was free to just do whatever the fuck I wanted. And it was like raining on and off the first like handful of days. Also, I was on my period for the first like majority of this burn, which was not cute. Like contacts and period for people who are considering going, that was the worst thing because it's like you want these things to be sanitary, and when you literally can't be sanitary, it's uncomfy and gross. Um, Regardless, where was I going with all this? Oh, so the rain forced me to stay close to my camp for the first handful of days, which was basically like tromping around in the mud and having 5 pounds of ankle weights just from mud on your shoes, basically.
Nice.
And but after that, it was like clear, it was good, and it was just like a really magic time. It like I don't because like you go to this place and no one has money and everyone's just bringing like a gift and everyone's bringing something to give. As a camp and personally, it creates such a magic space that because it creates such an intention of everyone's just coming to give, and it creates like this like energetic magic like vortex almost. It's just absolute insanity. And I can see why I felt called to it. Like it's definitely
Mm.
out in the default world, out in the reality of real life. I feel like I'm a crazy person. Like I'm an unhinged person. I'm a crazy person. At Burning Man, I was like sane and tame. Like,
Really? Compared to everyone else?
yes, yes. And I'm like, oh, I'm in a city full of people who are like me. And it brings people together who have a mindset around self-reliance and like giving and mindset and a lot. Also, it's not cheap to go to Burning Man. A lot of these people are very successful and just like do this with their spare time, like either successful artists or rich hippies or like whatever. Like a lot of these people are like on another playing field and both in a lot of ways, honestly. And truthfully, like I wasn't on a lot of like substances while I was there. I dabbled in a little bit of weed and I tried LSD for the first time, but had just like a neutral experience. Like I was like, oh, that just felt like a little bit of coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Maybe I didn't take enough. I don't know. But then I also just like, didn't drink really. Like I was sober for a lot of it. Honestly, the biggest drug was probably sleep deprivation. I stayed up until sunrise like 3 times, and I'll tell every story at some point, maybe in voice messages. I think I'll send I'll send like at some point like you voice messages about some of the nights, but because in the interest of time and also in the interest of just whatever. Also like I just don't feel like getting into the boy things of it all, which I didn't hook up with anybody on Burning Man. I didn't even kiss anybody at Burning Man, okay? It was not part of my experience at all. It was very much so like this burn was about me and for me.
So it was
Glad.
intentional?
No,
No, it just happened that way. Okay.
Josh, you knew I was not you knew, but I was ready to go to the orgy dome. The amount of condoms I brought to this thing was actually crazy. And then I just didn't end up, I didn't like, no one really, I don't know, like it wasn't right. Like I wasn't going on my way to pursue anything either. I went into it with a very clear head and not a lot of expectations to be like, whatever's meant for me will come for me. And I'm not going to try to put any expectations on it. And if I'm not meant to hook up with somebody or do an orgy dome or whatever, I'm not meant to do that. I'm just very much so going into it with the experience of whatever I'm meant to take from this experience, I'm meant to. I'm not trying to whatever. So, but I did dabble in something after with someone I met there, but like
Okay.
we'll get into that separately because it's not like that entertaining, to be honest. Like it's just meh,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's funny to think. So I'm like, how have you done that in the time between then and now? But it's been like 2 weeks, right? Almost 2 weeks, which is crazy
It's
because we
been
haven't spoken in that time. Not even
spoken at all.
texted. So yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, basically I was at Burning Man for the week and then Lake Tahoe with my camp, which is where like things happen. And then I was in San Francisco, got my shit stolen from me. I got my phone and wallet stolen from me last weekend.
No.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's been, and the week before I leave
What
for the
happened?
next
Like
leg of my trip.
where did it get stolen from?
Oh my God, Josh. I was in San Francisco with my girlfriend from college. I love how we're just bopping around. We'll go back to Burning Man. I was with my girlfriend from college over the weekend and we went out I did everything right. Like we went to the bar. We were in a group of girls. I don't drink when I'm alone. We're out with a group of girls. We met a group of people. We went to the next bar with them and then went back to the original bar. And making out with the 22-year-old is never worth it, Josh, okay? I was making 22-year-old and my bag was on my body and my bag was tied up and the girls were around me. Like they weren't out and about in the bar. Like they were next to me. And someone, while I was making out with this man, went into my bag, untied it, and took my stuff.
While it was on you? Holy
Yes, while it
shit.
was on my body with friends around me
How does that even, that's
at a
crazy. That's
wine
some
bar.
skill. You got to give it to them, right?
If you're that desperate for my shit, okay. And apparently we talked to the bartender that night and tons of people got their stuff stolen. So it wasn't just me, but I was like, damn. Thankfully it happened. Literally, it happened in the best timing and in the best place too. Like I happened to be with my friend from college because like without a phone or wallet, like I had to sign into her Uber account on my laptop, call Ubers from my laptop. I had to borrow her credit card for a couple of days. I had all of my phone, my wallet, and everything shipped here. This portion of the trip was very last minute. And we can get into, I think I'll tell you over voice message, like a lot of the reasons I decided to come here. But I'm so glad I ended up leaving San Francisco and coming here. Since I've been here, I've just felt so much better to be like hugged in a bed. I just don't love San Francisco. And like our friend is just it's like such a cozy spot and such a cozy home. And like it feels good to just whatever. So I had everything shipped here. I just had I got a new phone, new credit card. The only things I don't have my ID or my insurance cards. I have photos of my insurance cards and my ID is being shipped to my parents, but I'm not going to get it till December. But yeah, it was like it added a whole other layer of logistic stress that I didn't really need, especially like the week before I leave for the next big international leg of my trip. Like I leave tomorrow. I'm going to be gone for 2.5 months.
Okay. Where are you flying?
I'm trying to think about when this episode comes out. I guess in a couple weeks, so it should be okay.
Okay.
I'm going to do 5 countries in Asia. I start in Thailand.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I think I'll send you specifics over voice
Of
message
course.
too, because I
Sure.
don't want to like air out my
No,
whole
of course,
itinerary.
especially as we are fairly close now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Like it was different before when we were like 10 weeks ahead, but now
exactly.
we're not.
No,
So,
I get it. Yeah.
yeah. So I leave tomorrow to go to Asia and I'll be there for 2.5 months. And then like, oh, all of this happened to happen like a week before. But I honestly I think all of this happening after Burning Man was really interesting to watch myself deal with it logistically, because it was interesting. Like Burning Man, I felt so calm. The 2 weeks before Burning Man, I was so overwhelmed with stress and anxiety over the amount of stuff I had to do. And after Burning Man, I like wrote down my list again, and like the calm I felt over it was so intriguing. It's like, wow, I can write down my to-do list and I feel like absolute calm
Mm.
with it. And that felt really cool, like that shift. And then when all my shit got stolen, like that night, I was just like, I looked at my friend from college and I was like, if there's anyone I know I can deal with this, like with, it's you. Because like we did a ton of group projects together. Like I knew like she and I would be on it. So if there's anyone I'd like to be with, it's you. And I'm glad that it's happening. And then the next day I was like, it's really teaching me resourcefulness. I was like, it's like I don't know what the blessing is, but I know it's teaching me resourcefulness and that's cool. And then it is what it is. And like, I'm glad it happened here when I was with a friend in the United States and rather than like in Thailand by myself with no access to anything. So like, I'm really grateful that it happened where it did and when it did.
Absolutely. You do have to be so careful in Asia though, because it's a prime location for that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And it's also like how crazy that the amount of travel I've been doing this year, I lived in a pickpocket capital of the world. I lived in Paris for 2.5 months. I went to fucking Burning Man. I went to Coachella. My stuff doesn't get stolen at any point. It gets stolen at a wine bar in San Francisco when my bag is on me and I'm with a group of girls. Like, how? It's just so crazy. But yeah, I'll have to be extra careful. And today I am like really prepping for the rest of my trip. Like, I don't even know where I'm staying when I get there yet. Like, I have a lot of logistics to sort out today. But today I'm just like locked in to everything and just like grind it, like just getting it all done. I'm also like looking forward to, and I think you'll be happy to hear this, I'm looking forward to taking a break from substances while I'm in Asia.
Okay.
So I won't be like doing anything. Maybe I'll drink maybe if I'm with somebody, but when I'm by myself, like I'm not going to drink anything unless I'm like alone in my hotel or
Yeah.
whatever, have a cocktail.
Sure.
But I don't plan on drinking and I don't plan on doing any other substances. And I'm honestly really looking forward to taking a break and seeing the difference in my productivity, the difference in my mood, the difference in everything. Because we've talked about it. I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but like since mid-April, there have been less than a handful of days that I haven't had anything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we've
And
spoken about it. And it's, I think, really important to take that step and actually see how you feel.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm looking forward to like having difference and seeing how I feel about it all. And like, I'm looking forward to taking that break. So anyway, so back to Burning Man. So that's what's been happening since then. So it's like since before Burning Man, after Burning Man, the next step and then back to Burning Man.
Yeah.
So it was such a magic experience. Like I really went into it with the expectation of whatever is meant to happen is meant to happen. And I'm not going to have any expectations. Happy I didn't hook up with anybody there. Like the experience was really about me and like really about, okay, I felt called to this thing for many years. Like, why is that? Like, just follow my bliss, whatever. And just so much magic happened. I don't even know how to describe it. If I would just think something in the back of my head, it would just appear like out of nowhere. And it just kept happening again and again. And some of the best examples like I can give you, and I'll tell you like the full story at some point. I'll tell you some stories now, but like I was talking about how I wanted to go up in the sky, if that was like a hot air balloon or airplane or helicopter, whatever. And it's like not an easy thing to do. Like you have to time it correctly. And I happened to meet a girl and we got into a deep heart to heart and then we decided to go out. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go on a solo adventure. She's like, can I come? I was like, sure. We go to this. She's like, your only rule is you follow your own intuition and don't take my feelings into consideration. Just do whatever you want to do. I was like, okay, cool. That's what I'm going to do anyway. So we roll up to the clothing camp and 2 minutes later, a girl that she knows from her hometown pulls up out of nowhere. It turns out this girl's dating one of the people from skydive camp. And they give us tickets to get on the skydive plane the next day.
Oh my God. What?
Yeah. I didn't skydive because you had to have 200 jumps and they don't do tandems.
Oh, I
So I
see.
still able
Okay.
to go up with them and watch them jump out of the plane. And it's the only plane that could go over the playa and not around the playa. So it's just the fact that I was just talking about the fact that I wanted to go in the sky. And it's like, I'm with a girl and this girl that she knows from her hometown pulls up 2 minutes later and happens to be dating the skydive person who happens to give us tickets. And that craziness is just like the magic of that kept happening. And it was just so cool. Like we ended up, after that, we just went to baking camp and live music camp and grilled cheese camp and whatever, just like hanging out, went to the sunset just to saw some art in Deep Playa. We ended up going to this workshop called like Goddess Worship, which was probably like the most sexual I got, but I didn't even kiss anybody. And it was basically like a workshop where all the women in the room were encouraged to say their deepest desire, and men or women in the room could like offer to be like, oh, you desire this, I would like to service that desire. And I wasn't attracted to anybody at this like workshop. And so I was like, I really would love a platonic massage because I can't turn my head side to side after carrying this heavy ass bag with me everywhere. But the thing I got from that was watching other people in their kink was so, I got so much enjoyment out of watching other people enjoy themselves that I was like, oh. And also considering like there's other stories here that you know about that other people don't, like about voyeurism and my experience, like watching other people and how I've enjoyed that in the past. I'm like, how have I not realized this before? I'm like, going down the kink like rabbit hole is something I'm like interested in exploring, and like, how do I do that? I was at sauna camp. Like, also, how did I subconsciously pick this sauna camp? Like, they brought a sauna in as a shipping container, and one wall was completely glass, so everyone's butt ass naked in there. I'm like, how did I subconsciously pick a camp that like is low key exhibitionism?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like, I don't think that's a coincidence. Anyway,
So
so after
that's
this,
where you stayed, or
yeah, sauna camp.
okay,
Yeah.
and that was, you mentioned something to do with Finland, like they were all Finnish, yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Half of them were Finnish, and the other half were just like random people
Okay.
that like, I don't know if I would camp with them again. There were only like 1 to 2 people I felt like I really clicked with, and then other people I was just like, meh, just whatever. Before this workshop, actually, we have 30 minutes to explore, and it's like just watching. You have to remember that everything brought onto the playa, I'd say 95 to 98% of everything that's brought into the playa is just for fun. Like, just for fun. Like, it's an adult playground. Like, literally, you want to go to the adult playground? Great. You want to go do karaoke? Great. You want to go to, I don't know, there's live cage fighting where people can just jump in and fight each other. You want to do that? Great. There's just everything you could possibly imagine is in this city. But like some of the stuff I saw, like I'm super into like flow arts and fire spinners. Cannot stop watching them. They're incredible. And then also I was like watching this professional bondage guy, puppeteer, a woman like covered in like ropes and knots 30 feet in the air while she's like playing the violin. And I'm like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. What's happening? Anyway, after this workshop, this like kink workshop, which first of all, some of these people's kinks were like very cool to watch. Watching some woman have men bow down to her and be like, no, you think you're even worthy of my glance? Turn around and do it again. It was just cool to watch these people like enjoy their own kink.
Sure.
Yeah, so after that, dropped the bikes off, went out. My friend and I separated. I was like, I want to go ride the art cars, which are also like super fucking cool. And she's like, I want to go to Temple. Okay, great. So we split up. I rode art cars around until 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't see her. And I went back to camp. And then as I was going back, I was like, oh man, I missed the Rufus set tonight. I'm sad about it. And I got back to camp. And as I was getting back, 2 of my people from my camp were leaving. And they're like, oh, we're going to go to the Rufus sunrise set. And I was like, bet, I'm coming.
No way.
I turn around and we hike all the way back out. We see Rufus the Soul at sunrise. There were people like skydiving behind him.
What?
Like, yeah, crazy. And so I've seen Rufus like 4 times this year.
Holy shit. That's so sick.
Yeah. It's so crazy. And so we do that. And then after that, it was like incredible. After that, I told the guys, I was like, okay, I need to go to Temple and like, I'm ready to deal with my shit. Also, keep in mind, I'm still awake from the time we got the ticket. So it's been like, I think total I was awake like 30 something hours, whatever.
Whoa.
I go to the temple, I deal with my grief, and I sit down and I'm like, it's a place where like people on the wall, there are like photos and notes that people are writing to like loved ones. It's things that people are grieving and letting go of. And I went and sat with my grief over my relationship in Miami and Paris and that whole thing ending, and like realizing that grief is just love with nowhere to go, basically, and really just coming to terms with my grief and accepting it. And it felt really good to process it. And I happened to sit down, right? This was 8 hours after I separated with my friend. I happened to sit down and I didn't see who was around me. I happened to recognize a voice. It was the girl I separated from 8 hours prior.
No
I happened
way.
to sit right next to her, and she was there the whole night talking to some random ass guy. Turns out they're like in love now. Okay, cool. So we sit there, we like process through everything. This man has chai tea, he's playing the flute. It's like everyone's crying and people are really processing through some shit. And so after that, she and I like go back to camp and we get on the fucking plane and we watch the skydivers and then got a burrito, and I promptly went and crashed for 15 hours straight.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, basically.
But
So that was
sounds
like one
nuts.
time. And then the other time, like it was like the night the man burned, and I was out with a group of people from my camp, and the vibe like wasn't, this was the night I took the LSD. The vibe just wasn't there. but it like felt like I was forcing. And this was another lesson, like flow, don't force. If something's not working, don't try to force it. Like just allow it to flow. And at one point we all separated. We're all just like, we all took LSD, but we're all like, we're ready to get lost. We're ready to separate. So it was me and a girl. We ended up breaking up. And I just remember thinking like, oh, my backpack is so heavy. Like I really just want to sit down and put something down. And we have a surprise guest
How
Hello.
are you?
here.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing great. Did you know that she was here?
I figured because I saw Ruger in the background, and I was like, it
Got it.
must be Katie's. It must be her place.
That's got to be Katie's house, or she just took Ruger with her.
Yeah, well,
Possible.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, what a pleasant surprise.
Well, we're happy to have her. I'm sad that she's going to leave so soon.
I know. It was
I
such
could
a
have
short
kept her.
trip.
Yeah, I could have kept her forever.
Good company.
Did I hear you got a haircut? Looks good.
I got a haircut a few weeks ago, but Sasha and I never speak anymore. She
Sure.
makes no effort to speak to me anymore. So
Yeah, she just flies across the country for me. So.
exactly, she'd never fly to see me except for Wimbledon.
Right.
Yeah,
Katie was literally like, come to Colorado. And I was like, okay.
that was it.
Bought
That
a
was
flight
that
like the next
easy.
day. Well, she was like, "Oh, I'm in San Francisco," because I think I asked if you were like back from Burning Man. I just wanted to hear about it in person. So you flew here to
Yeah.
tell me about it.
Yeah, she was literally,
Flew
yeah,
to
it's in San
tell the
Francisco.
story.
She'd like come. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But honestly, like just listening to you guys upstairs, like re-hearing about all of it, it just reminded me of just like the magic that is a music festival. Like, and it's crazy to me, like like the first music festival you go to is like one of the biggest in the game, like one of the craziest ones that there are.
Yeah.
Wild.
So,
So cool. So
Daddy.
cool.
It's the coolest.
oh my God.
Okay, well, I'll leave y'all to it.
Okay.
All right, love you.
I'm gonna
Bye.
finish the night the man burned. I was also out all night, and basically we split from the group. And I remember thinking like, oh man, my bag is so heavy. I really just want to sit somewhere and put it down for a second. And literally, as I was thinking that, I just happened to walk. I'm also like walking. I don't have a bike. We all know how I am on a bike. Okay, not me. Did I tell you that I slammed a bike into a telephone pole in Nice?
You know what? I don't think you did.
Okay. Well, I slammed a bike into a telephone pole in
Right.
Nice when
Now I
was
know
with
how
Mr.
you are on a bike.
Swansea. Not great, not great. So I was on foot, which is the playa is fucking huge. And I ended up like coming across this art piece as I was thinking that, which is literally just like a bench with these gorgeous like LED flowers. And I was like, okay, cool. So I sat down and I put my bag down, and then these two people come up randomly and I give them like a we're not really strangers card because that's my gift to the playa. I just like to make conversation. These people end up sitting with me for I have no idea because I don't have my phone on me. Like I don't have any content from this week. I just put my phone in airplane mode. And at this point, I think it was dead. So I don't have any content. I don't even know how long we were there, but they sat down. She like pulled out miso soup and gave me miso soup and snacks. We're just sitting there hanging out. And they're like, oh, we had to go to the bathroom. Kind of want to explore. And I was like, oh, I'd come with you guys, but I don't have a bike. And one of them has a tricycle. And then the other one has a bike. And we're like with a basket. So we're like fastening everything. And I end up standing on the back of the tricycle the rest of the night. So we're like going around. And at one point they're saying like, oh, your commentary is so funny about everyone passing by. We wish you had a megaphone. And I was like, it's funny because it's like literally my job. I'm a professional yapper. I always carry mics with me. And so we were like going and exploring the art and seeing cool sets. And this girl happens to be doing a flow art. And like I told you, I really wanted to learn the dragon staff, right? We'll get into that. So basically, we're just like exploring all the art, all this music. It's like really cool shit. We get into this like crazy art car it was like literally a bar, like a saloon, like an old Western saloon built into an art car. This thing must have been like $20 million. Like we happen to meet the owner of this thing who's 70 something, and she invites us on, and like her husband's the creative director. It's like the craziest shit ever. Okay. I wish I had photos of this thing, but I don't. We're seeing music, and then eventually we go out to the deep playa, which is like the end of the festival. And all of a sudden we come across this art piece, and it's literally a box that says soap on the side with a big megaphone. I was like, how the fuck did we just say that they wished I had a megaphone and we ran into a fucking megaphone? Right? So crazy.
Yeah.
And then we end up going out to like the very, very edge for sunrise. And this girl's doing flow art. I have a feeling that I know people here. And we're like, okay, cool, go explore and we'll see. Turns out she literally happens to run into the people she's camping with, who are also super into flow art. And they have a practice dragon staff, which is like the flow art I want to learn so bad. And they're like, if you pick up 10 pieces of trash, you can play with the dragon staff. That's okay, cool. And literally I go and pick up some trash, and I happen to run into a waffle stand 10 feet away of a random girl just making waffles for people at sunrise. I was like, okay, great. Like I'm throwing away trash and I'm getting a waffle. Amazing. And they get to play with the dragon staff. And it was just like crazy because everything I like wanted and was thinking about just like appeared and just came. like immediately. And it was just that kept happening over and over again.
That's
And I feel like I
crazy.
learned a lot of lessons like about resourcefulness and flow, don't force, and grief is just love with nowhere to go. And like really just follow your bliss, follow your intuition, follow what feels good. And if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. And just like a lot of downloads. And I think it's funny, the universe gives you lessons. It's funny, I went without my phone for a week. Like I was completely off grid. And I'm like, oh, I'm like resourceful and self-reliant. And then my shit gets stolen the next week. And it's, oh, well, it's did you learn the lesson of actually not being attached to your devices
Yeah.
and actually being resourceful? Did you learn that in real life?
And how would you
And
say you did?
I think like I've definitely felt really resourceful and really proud of myself with how I managed my own state. Like for the first 2 days, I was like, this is just a lesson, whatever. I'm like, it's okay, chill. There was like 1 or 2 days I was just crying a lot out of just frustration, like not having access to do things I need to do, especially planning the next leg of my trip. And just also, it's like a very violating thing to have things stolen, especially when they're like on your body. And it's like a very violating and upsetting thing. So I got upset a little bit, but nothing like I'm proud of how I handled it. And I feel like I learned the lesson, but it's also just okay. Like it's just a part of life and that's okay. Like shit happens and things have been feeling really good since I had a lot of downloads about business and a lot of ideas about the business and a lot of ideas about a lot of things. And I think next week or later on, I really want to sit down with you and like mastermind through these things in my career. I don't want to do it now because I want to hear all about you and your stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe next week, let's sit down and
Well,
really chat through it because there's some stuff I want to like work through with you.
this is what we're here for, right? This is the whole point of the podcast is to mastermind each other's lives. And I think when we go a couple of weeks without talking, we have a lot to catch up on. And so it doesn't necessarily turn into a mastermind, it turns into more of a catch up. But
Yeah.
actually, at its core, that's what this podcast is. So, of course,
Exactly.
let's do that when we've actually caught up.
Exactly. But it's something I've been really sitting on and really thinking about. And I really want to mastermind through that with you. So stay tuned, guys, for the next time we record one-on-one, or maybe the next time we record with a guest, who knows? We'll sit down and like actually mastermind through that. That's basically the gist. I will share more with you via voice message. And I think I'm going to do that today because it's Friday. And you know how I actually don't think I'm going to partake in any substances today because I have way too much to do. So you'll get a Sasha sober Friday
There we go.
voice
Love to
message.
hear
I'm
it.
going to put it on my fucking list right now.
Please do, because I feel actually, and I'm going to call you out here, there's been a few times recently, in recent months, not just recent times, where you've said, oh yeah, no, it's fine, I'll tell you in a voice message. The voice message never
And
comes.
then I don't.
So
But it goes two ways. It
does.
True. Like I don't have to be always the one to start it because that's
No,
how it
that's a fair
happened when we
point.
were in
That is a fair
routine. I was
point.
always the one to start it because I happened to be at the pool on Friday afternoon and wanted to chat.
That is absolutely a fair point. I have a lot of shit to tell you as well, so it's just as on me to instigate it, for sure.
Oh, okay. Tell me what's happening with you. I need to know. Please fill me in.
So I guess with me, we'll have to go back to middle of August. Now, I've been debating whether to discuss this on here because it's quite a controversial topic in general in the world at the moment, but I will get into it because whatever.
Do it.
At the end of July, I think it was early August, I got an email from an organization called Birthright. I'm not sure if you've heard of them before.
Yeah, I know Birth. It's yeah, but let's just give context.
Yeah,
I grew up in a
so-
very Jewish town, so like I know.
Right, okay, fair enough.
My
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend's Jewish too, so I went to like a million bar mitzvahs. Like on my street, you've never been to my town, but on my street there were like 10 temples. So like I know
I
the
remember
whole
you
shtick.
telling me. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, fine. So
Yeah.
you don't need
So I know, but give
explaining,
context.
yeah, absolutely.
but give
So
context.
Birthright is effectively, the long and short of it is a free trip for Jews to Israel, to visit Israel. Usually it's for Jews aged 18 to 26. And it's something that I think as a young Jew, everyone aspires to do it at some point in their life before they get too old, because it's a magical experience. And the idea is to reconnect you with the homeland of the Jews, to reconnect you with your culture, with your religion that you may have lost touch with because you live in the West, you live in the US, the UK, wherever you may live. Now, I aged out, unfortunately, by the time I decided to do it. I heard about it through our friend, or former friend, Lucas, And he was like, oh my God, you should do it. But at the time, I thought it was only for the US. And then they opened it up for Europe. And by the time they opened it up for Europe, I was too old. I think I just turned 26 and they'd reduced the age or something. And I was devastated. But I got an email at the end of July, early August, saying that they've opened up a mature group, so a 27 to 32-year-old group. And there's very limited spaces, obviously, because it's a very limited edition of the thing. So I instantly signed up for it. I emailed them, didn't hear back for a couple of weeks, so I'd given up on it. And then I got a follow-up email saying, sorry for the delay, apply here. And I applied, again, didn't hear anything. And I was like, whatever. And then suddenly out of nowhere, I get a phone call saying, are you ready to take a trip? And I was like, absolutely fucking yes. And within 10 minutes, she'd confirmed my spot on the trip. I'd put down a $400 deposit, which I get back, or you can choose to donate it to the organization or take it back. But I put down the deposit and I was like, holy shit, I'm going to Israel. And it was so last minute. It was like literally a few days before I was meant to go. And that's when we spoke about it. And that's when you found out, not long after I'd found out.
It was like I hadn't heard nothing about this, and all of a sudden you're in Israel, and I was like, what?
Yeah, because you messaged me about a recording date. And I was like, well, actually, I'm in Israel. And you said, make sure you block it out in the calendar. I was like, oh, don't worry, I did that already. And you were like, you didn't tell me. But that's why, because it was very last minute. So I got back the day before yesterday, quite late at night, and I had the most incredible experience. Just honestly, like a good way of describing it is like Gills for Jews in a way, like a Tony Robbins event, but for Jews. And it was just magical. They took us from north to south, all over the country. And there were 9 of us from the UK, 9 from Germany, and 10 from the Netherlands, although most of them had actually come from Germany. They just flew from Amsterdam. And it was just incredible. Like, I connected so much. These people, there were 28 of us, and every single one of them became like family by the end. It was just exactly what I wanted. I think after October 7th, the attacks a couple of years ago, one big thing for me was to reconnect with my Judaism and with my Jewish social circles and really implement it into my life. I haven't really done that. I've got a few Jewish friends that I've met over the course of the last couple of years, one of which is one of my best friends now, and I'm friends with his friends, but I've never really connected with the Judaism side of things. They're just friends. It's nothing to do with being Jewish or not. So I've gone on this trip and I really wanted to build community from it. And I have come away with genuinely not just a community, but what feels like a family. We were so, so close. Everyone on the trip was so, so just wholesome and nice and just lovely people, except for one. And I'll tell you that story because it had the potential to ruin the trip. So this was one guy who flew out from the UK called Jacob. We connected instantly at the airport because he was a DJ and I am a raver. And we were talking about, he said, my big dream, my big goal is to DJ at Tomorrowland. And I was like, well, I've just been at Tomorrowland. And we connected over that. We arrive in Israel and the guide tells us to buddy up because we're sharing a hotel room. So just find someone that we want to share a room with and we can share a room with them. So I was stressing a little bit because I didn't know anyone. So I instantly, I was like, whoever offers, or I'm just going to go for the first person that I can think of. He came up to me, he was like, do you want to share a room together? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And it relieved that stress. I pretty instantly regretted it because throughout the course of that day, before we got to the hotel, we were doing lots of sightseeing and he was just a different vibe to the rest of the group. Everyone else in the group was nice and wanted to be there, but he, when asked by myself and the people that we were traveling with, like, why are you here? What do you want from this trip? He said, well, to be honest, I'm just here because it's a free trip. He openly identified as Catholic and said, I'm not Jewish, I'm Catholic, and I'm just here for the free trip. The Judaism side of things means nothing to me, which is fair enough. You can be whatever religion you want, but you shouldn't come on a trip that is for Jews, right? And it's free because it's for Jews. So
yeah,
that didn't sit right with me. And there were just signs of him being a bad vibe. And when we agreed to share a room, I said to him, "Do you snore?" And he said, "Oh, only when I get drunk." And I was like, "Okay, fine. Well, he might get drunk 1 or 2 nights. I should be okay. I'll just make sure I go to sleep early." Little did I know that he was literally, not even exaggeration, literally an alcoholic. So he couldn't do anything on this trip without a beer, without alcohol. We were going to really holy places and he was standing there with a beer. We went to the Dead Sea where you go into the ocean, the sea, and you float, and it's just this really cool experience. And he had a packet of beers, like 4 of them, and that were floating alongside him while we were in the Dead Sea. So the first night, he kept me up literally all night because he was snoring so loudly. I think I got 2 hours of sleep, having had 0 hours of sleep the night before because it was an overnight flight and I can't sleep on planes. And it was also only a 4-hour flight, so there was just no way I was sleeping. So I was exhausted the first day, exhausted the second day. And then it gets to the second night, I think he was much better. He still went out late and he got back late and I heard him coming in, but he clearly didn't get that drunk because he didn't snore that loudly. So I got a decent night's sleep that night. And then the third night, it blew up. It absolutely blew up. So I went to bed because I was like, we have to be up early the next day. He went out and he got back at about 2:30 a.m. And instead of letting himself in, he banged on the door so loudly that the whole floor heard. The next morning, everyone was asking what had happened. He banged so loudly on the door. He then, obviously, I woke up as a result of that. He then went, "Oh, sorry, I've got my key," and he let himself in. He comes stumbling into the room. He stops by my bed, like at the foot of my bed, and I was pretending to be asleep, but I felt him stand at the end of my bed, turn to me, and call me a dickhead. And then he goes back to his bed. He's like throwing himself around. He's making all these noises, breathing incredibly heavily because he was clearly so drunk. He then walks towards the bathroom, which is my bed was right next to the bathroom. Stops again at the foot of my bed and calls me a cunt.
Oh no. Oh no.
He then goes to the bathroom and I was like, because we'd really got on until this point. So it was baffling that he was being so abusive. He was just very drunk.
Yeah.
And he goes into the bathroom and I hear like a slapping noise in there. And I'm like, my mind automatically jumped to he was masturbating in there, right? And I just felt sick. I was like, it's just disgusting. He left the door open. He's sharing a room, a small room with one other person. He's doing that next to me. Like, it's just disgusting.
Yeah.
Continued to pretend to be asleep, but just disgusted and feeling really weird and just gross. And then he gets into bed and I hear a woman's voice. And
Oh my God.
And then I hear a kissing noise. And I was like, he wasn't masturbating in there. He was either getting a hand job or having sex or something along those lines.
Oh
And then
my
she's
God.
got into bed with him. And then she leaves and he instantly falls asleep and snoring so loudly. And I was like, this is horrible. And I ended up going downstairs. I packed my bags. Once I'd realized he'd passed out, I went down to the lobby and I called Savita. I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I messaged the group leader, told them what had happened, and I slept in the hotel lobby for about an hour. And then the group
Oh my
leader came
God.
down because she was taking someone to hospital because there was this huge bug going around that wiped out 3/4 of our group for the final few days.
Oh
Luckily, I didn't
no.
get it. And she gave me her bed because she was going to the hospital. So I managed to get like an hour's sleep.
Yeah.
The next day, I was being hounded by all of the leaders. Everyone was trying to catch up about what happened. Long story short, he ended up getting kicked off the trip. They
Okay.
literally left him in the middle of Jerusalem and he had to find his own way back. They let him keep the flight back because it's all paid for, all expenses. So the flight was already there. But he decided to take an earlier flight that night because he didn't want to stay anymore. But he paid for it himself, which seems really stupid to me. And literally about a couple of hours after we left him in Jerusalem, we had driven down to the very far south of the country, so long away from where he was.
Yeah.
And we get a call, or the group leader gets a call, and Jacob, my roommate, he'd taken the wrong suitcase. He'd taken someone else's suitcase. And unfortunately, the suitcase he had taken was one of my friends, who was just the sweetest guy, the loveliest guy.
Yeah.
And he was just devastated because his passport was in there, all of
Mm.
his clothes were in there, like everything was in there. And they arranged for Jacob to drop this suitcase off at the hotel that we were going to the next day, because it happened to be where he was flying from. So Ben, my friend, got his suitcase back, but Jacob, there was no way of him getting a suitcase because he'd booked this early flight out.
Yeah.
So his suitcase is currently still in Israel. No one wants to take responsibility. He made a group chat with all of the Brits except for me, asking, can anyone take it back? Even though, like, we'd got on so well, he never apologized to me. It was him that was completely in the wrong. And yet
Yeah.
he was clearly angry at me, right? Like, if he made a group chat without adding me, it was just so bizarre.
Yeah.
Anyway, other than that, because I feel like I've spent most of the time talking about that, it was an amazing trip.
Yeah.
And that didn't ruin it. It made me tired for one of the days, but that was it, really. It wasn't the end of the
Yeah.
world.
Okay, good.
It was incredible and genuinely, I would say, life-changing, because I feel so connected to my culture now. I
Yeah.
really feel I've drifted through friendship circles, right? I was with the Yes Theory group, and I've been with my school friends. I've drifted from place to place. But it
Yeah.
really feels like I found my people in this group, in Jews, which they are. They're literally my people, and it makes sense that I feel so connected to them, right?
Yeah.
It's a really nice feeling, and I came back feeling so peaceful and serene, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this really seriously. I'm going to carry this forward. And while I was there, well, I don't know if you saw any of my posts, because I know you're not really on Instagram these days.
No.
I posted a fair bit of stories of just cool places that I was visiting.
Yeah.
I've lost about 23 followers on Instagram as a
Oh,
result.
you're like about 23.
Well, it was 23 last
Like, you
time I
know the
checked.
exact numbers. You know the exact number.
I've lost about 23, 24 last time I checked. And honestly, I don't really care. Like, these are people that I don't really want in my life. Like, I was hesitant to post about it in the first couple of days. And then one of my
Yeah.
friends there said to me, if people have a problem with this shit, then you don't want them in your life, right? That's how
It's
you should
true.
be living. And actually, I may be losing some friends over this and losing followers, whatever, but I'm replacing them with people who I've met on this trip and who I will be meeting through immersing myself more in the London Judaism sort of culture. So the last couple of days since I've been back, I've been really researching synagogues that I could join. I've been researching sort of young Jewish events that I could go to, and I've already booked
Yeah.
one in for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to a dinner with some young Jews in a couple of weeks, including 3 of my friends who I met on this trip. They're all going to go as
Hell
well.
yeah. Hell yeah.
So they're no great loss, these people, but I just feel this is going to benefit my life in so many ways, this move and this shift in how I think about Judaism. I really think it could benefit so many areas of my wheel, of my life. Social is going to be a great opportunity to network and meet people in a professional setting as well. But I think more than anything, spirituality. And before I went away, I was meditating a lot. And I've never really, even though I'm Jewish by blood, I've never really attached myself to Judaism as a religion, because there is a difference between the sort of ethnicity
Like cultural
and
and
exactly.
yeah.
And people don't understand that when people hear you're a Jew, they're like, well, it's a religion. How can you be claiming that's what you are? But I am. Literally, it's in my blood. We were a tribe going back thousands of years. So yeah, I've never attached myself to the religion or really a religion. I've always classed myself as agnostic, but I've meditated a lot and I've always been spiritual. And I really
Yeah.
feel that if I can start taking my Judaism more seriously from a spiritual perspective as well, I think it's going to be really good for me in so many ways. And we talk about the spirituality side of things and Judaism. I don't really believe in a god or anything like that. I believe in the universe and energies. And I've been reading this book, which everyone on my trip found so funny that I was reading it before going to Israel, Judaism for Dummies. And it's actually, I don't know if you've ever read any of the For Dummies books,
I have
but
not.
like I've read a couple, like Fitness for Dummies and that kind of thing. They're
Yeah.
so good. Like they really break it down for dummies. And so I'm reading this book and I'm learning so much about it. And one of the things I've learned is that Judaism is very flexible. There is no strict definition of what God is. God isn't necessarily a man in the sky. It could be interpreted as the energies that are around us and the energies that dictate the universe and how things work. And playing on what you were saying about the vortex at Burning Man and the
Yeah.
energies, the insane energy that was there that kind of led to, and we've spoken about this anyway, the manifestation side of things and speaking things into existence. And that's what I believe
Yeah.
in. And that's how Judaism could be interpreted. It's all up for interpretation. So I'm really excited to channel that into my
Yeah.
spirituality and just see how that plays out. And I think it'll be really good for me mentally. So yeah, it's great. And I think also big thing about the Jewish community is that famously they are very successful business people, right? And just from my trip just now, I met this guy who owns 7 fine dining restaurants in Stockholm, incredibly successful, incredibly wealthy. We really connected. He was one of my best friends on the trip. And he is a very devout, he was probably the most orthodox or most religious person in the group. Like he was
Yeah.
praying multiple times a day. And I don't want to take it to that extreme, but I think if I can find a synagogue or like a culture where it helps me channel that discipline, I think it's going to be
Yeah.
really good for me. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. To be able to connect with your culture and with your religion like that. Spirituality has always been not always, but historically has been a part of your wheel that just hasn't been prioritized. So it's really interesting to watch you begin to prioritize that as well. And I think it's going to be really interesting and beautiful to see how you prioritizing that area of your wheel of life, how that's going to enhance and impact your life, both like from a cultural standpoint, from a spirituality standpoint, from like a community standpoint as well. I think it's going to be really interesting and really beautiful to see. It's something also to note as well, because I know Jude, like, I'm sure you and Zavita will have conversations about this, but something just as pal, like, I know Judaism is passed down through women, which first of all is one thing. There's a lot of things I love about Judaism, but that is one thing I love, that like we prioritize like the women. But I know Judaism is passed down through the women, and Savita is not Jewish. Like, again, not something we have to get into, but something to like, not saying consider to whatever, but just also have you guys had conversations around that?
Yes and no. I think she comes from a Hindu background. Obviously, I come from a Jewish background, and I think it's one of the things I have to come to terms with, which is fine. It's not, again, this path that I'm taking is very
Yeah.
fresh, right? And so if you'd asked me a month ago if I cared whether my children were Jewish or not, I wouldn't really care. Like, again, I've always identified as Jewish by blood, not by religion.
Yeah.
And my kids will also be Jewish by blood. And that's all I really care about, is that the Jewish bloodline lives on. I
Yeah.
don't really care. And even this trip doesn't really make a difference that, yeah, I mean, if our kids were to go to an ultra Orthodox synagogue, they wouldn't be accepted, right? But I
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to enforce the Judaism on them as well. I think they can make their own choices when it comes to religion and path. And that's not for me to decide. My parents never forced religion down my throat because they weren't particularly
Yeah.
religious, and I'm making
Yeah.
this choice now. Having been to Israel, I'm going to put this out there, and this may get me cancelled if this ever blows up, but I am very proudly a Zionist. I very proudly believe in the state of Israel and the existence of Israel. I think it's incredibly important. Having been there, it's so special for the Jews. It's the only state on earth that is for Jews, right? Every other religion, Christians, Muslims, they all have their own countries. The Jews have nothing. They don't have their own safe space. And so it's so important for us to have this. And I saw just how magical it is, how
Yeah.
much it means to these people. And there's so much talk about the Holocaust when you're there, of course, because it's such a major part of our history.
Yeah.
And to think that 6 million out of 11 million, an estimated 11 million Jews that were in the world at the time were wiped out. And the
Yeah.
Nazis' goal was to wipe out all 11 million. So
Yeah.
the thought that people still want to wipe us out, which is exactly what's happening in the Middle East right now with all these countries surrounding Israel trying to bomb them and Iran building nuclear weapons so that they can wipe out Israel.
Yeah.
I think it's so important that we keep that bloodline going so that we don't just cease to exist. And so the most important thing for me is the blood. And so I
Yeah.
don't
And also I mean, the kids will be like Jewish by blood, and also you have two sisters. So like
exactly I have two sisters to pass it down.
your nieces and nephews will all be like
Yeah, I mean
Jewish.
that would be an interesting one though because Bella's boyfriend is, I'm pretty sure, Catholic and like
Yeah.
Mexican Catholic. So I'm pretty sure his family would be fairly forceful on what the religion should be. But also Bella's not very religious. We're just not a religious family. So whatever
Yeah.
it will be.
Roby would be. And it's also something else, not that we can talk about it right now because I do have to stop in a couple minutes, but I also want to hear about how it's been with you and Savita moving in together. But something like just to touch on like the whole everything that's happening is like, as far as I just want to make a note and address the listeners where, listen, I mean, it's a very hot topic right now, everything that's happening with Israel. And we're somewhat speaking for both of us right now is we're people who very much so believe have your own opinions, have whatever, and that should not impact your relationships with other people and how you treat other people, as long as we can all just be respectful and like we can disagree. Not that I'm saying I disagree because I don't, but it's like everyone can have their own opinions as long as no one's hurting each other. And there are people getting hurt in the situation, which is like actually awful and actually horrible. But we're not saying, oh, if you believe something different, don't listen. Like we're people believe what they believe, just as long as no one is attacking us for what we believe or we're not attacking anybody else for what they believe, even though that's what other people are doing right now. You and I have both lost friendships over these types of disagreements. It's just not, we're just here to be accepting and loving and like explore our own lives and mastermind our own lives. And if that's something
Absolutely.
that's not like resonating with the listeners, maybe it's not the pod for you, but we're just here to love and accept and be open-minded.
That's it. For me, that's the most important thing. I have my beliefs, you have your beliefs, everyone has their beliefs, right? And I am open always to hearing other people's perspectives and trying to learn and always open to changing my perspective as well. So I think that's really important. It's something we've lost sight of, which unfortunately, as we are recording this, it's the day after or 2 days after Charlie Kirk's just been shot, which is, you can have your opinion on that, but it's crazy. I
Yeah.
think he was not a nice person in many ways, and I know that you almost certainly agree with that because of his views on certain things, but it's an attack on free speech at the end of the day, and that's
Yeah.
quite
And
scary. And I think we should listen and accept and love each other, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, no one should get hurt for what they believe. No one should die for what they believe. If you want to die for what you believe, do that. No one should be killing anybody for what they believe. No one should be hurting anybody for what they believe. And it's truly unfortunate. It's actually funny. I did not know who this man was until he was killed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Zero clue. I was just like, I'm not really on social media. So if something is
Fair enough.
not like
Yeah.
current events like that, I don't hear it.
I think if you're on social media, you probably know who he is. Like my uncle, who's very involved he knows about US politics because he lives out there. He didn't know who he was because he's not on social media. So he's very much
Yeah.
a social media politician. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's a big, like, they're in the world right now, there is definitely a lot of misalignment and a lot of people who, like, there's so much tension in so many different areas of the world right now. So many different countries, like, are on the verge of, like, big conflict and are in big conflict. And, like, even internally in certain countries, like in the US right now, it's very tumultuous. Like, it just feels very tumultuous in a lot of places. And it's unfortunate, but it's also, like, seasons of, I mean, I think right now, just in general, like, it's a very tumultuous time, but it's also a transition period as well. And I think I see that in individuals with, like, friends and family that are experiencing this, like, big transitional time. But I also think in the world in general, like, it's a big transition time. I'm not sure, like, energetically what's happening or anything like that, but it's also something to just, like, be aware of. And there's so much more we need to fucking talk about. But I have to hop off to drop our girlfriend off work. So I can have her car for the day to run my errands. But I think next week or whenever we record next, I really want to talk about you and Savita moving in together and how you're managing that transition in
Absolutely.
life
It's a hot topic.
and my career.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
No,
for
we
real.
have so much to talk about. It's the beautiful thing about going a couple of weeks without talking, which also has a lot of downsides. But yeah, we have a lot to catch up on.
So much to catch up on. And I promise you I will send you a voice message, but it goes both ways, buddy.
It does. Friendship goes both ways. It does.
Yeah, absolutely. But I got to run to drop a pal off, but we'll figure out next time to record so we
Yes.
can get into the weeds of it all.
Absolutely.
And I leave we'll see if the difference in time change will get us back on track again. But because I'll be in Asia starting Sunday.
Yeah.
So
Exciting.
yeah. It's wild. Also, I want to hear about like how you manage this with work too. Like I need to hear all about that.
Manage what, the trip or?
Yes.
Oh, it was so last minute. I actually I'll delve into it really quickly now. Or do you no, maybe
Okay.
not, maybe not.
I really
No, it's
actually
okay.
have
No,
to
it's
go.
okay. It's all right. We'll get into it another time.
We'll get into it in the next episode,
Yeah,
but
okay.
let's chat.
So much to chat
And
about.
I love you so much.
I love you
And
too.
we have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll catch you guys on the next episode of Mastermind Moments. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow along on social media.
If you would like us to help you mastermind something in your life, please send us a message.
We'll see you next week on the Mastermind Moments podcast.